Jinha pushed through the twisted metal that used to be a city bus. His boots crunched on broken glass and chunks of concrete. The morning sun cast long shadows through the ruins of Seoul, but the light felt cold. Everything felt cold now. 3 years. 3 years since the aliens came and tried to kill every human on Earth. "Jinha, over here," called Quan from somewhere in the rubble. "I found something good." Jinha climbed over a fallen wall and found his friend digging through what looked like an old electronics store. Quan held up a tablet computer, its screen cracked but still working. "Battery still has power," Quan said with a tired smile. "Might have useful files." Jinha nodded. Before the aliens came, he had been an engineer. He built aircraft and designed flight systems. Now he was a scavenger, digging through the bones of his dead world. But his hands still remembered how to fix things. His mind still understood machines. They had been searching the ruins for 2 days now. Their small group needed medical supplies, food, and anything that might help them survive another winter. The alien attack had destroyed most of Earth's cities, but it had also left behind useful wreckage. "Jinha," called another voice. This time it was Ha-Rin, the smartest person Jinha had ever met. She used to work with quantum physics at Seoul National University. Now she helped their group figure out alien technology. Jinha found her standing at the edge of a massive crater. The hole was so deep he could not see the bottom. The blast that made it had wiped out 6 city blocks. "Look down there," Ha-Rin said, pointing into the darkness. "Do you see it?" Jinha squinted. At first he saw only shadows and twisted metal, then something caught his eye. A shape too regular to be natural, too big to be from Earth. "Is that?" Jinha started to ask. "An alien ship," Ha-Rin finished. "A big one." The ship sat broken at the bottom of the crater like a dead whale. Its hull was split open in several places. Strange symbols flickered weakly along its sides, but most of its lights were dead. "Why didn't they take it with them?" Quan asked. Joining them at the crater's edge, Ha-Rin adjusted her broken glasses. "Maybe they couldn't. Maybe it was too damaged." Jinha studied the wreck with engineer's eyes. The ship was huge, bigger than any aircraft carrier he had ever seen. Its design was smooth and curved, nothing like human ships. But even from this distance, he could see the damage was severe. "We should go down there," Jinha said. "Are you insane?" Ha-Rin stepped back from the edge. "That thing could be booby-trapped, or radioactive, or worse." Jinha understood her fear. Ha-Rin had lost her husband and 2 children when the aliens bombed the university. She had good reason to be careful around anything the aliens left behind. But Jinha saw something else when he looked at that ship. He saw technology, systems, power sources, things that might help humanity fight back. "Look at the hull breach on the port side," Jinha said, using his old pilot vocabulary. "You can see inside. Those look like fusion reactors." Ha-Rin peered. Down again, this time with scientific interest instead of fear. "The energy output from those reactors. If we could understand how they work, we could power the whole settlement for years," Jinha finished. Quan found rope and climbing gear in an abandoned sports shop. Jinha had trained in rock climbing during his military service, so he went down first. The crater walls were unstable, and loose rocks fell as he descended. The alien ship was even bigger up close. Its hull was made from some kind of metal that felt warm to the touch. The symbols along its sides pulsed slowly like a heartbeat. Jinha found an opening where the hull had cracked. Inside, the ship was dark except for a few emergency lights. The corridors were too tall for humans. The aliens must have been much larger than people. His flashlight beam revealed something amazing. The ship was full of technology that looked centuries ahead of anything humans had built. Computer systems, weapon controls, navigation equipment, most of it was broken, but some pieces were still working. "Jinha, are you alive down there?" Ha-Rin's voice echoed from above. "I'm fine," he called back, And you need to see this. It took an hour to rig. A safe way for Harin and Quan to reach the ship. When they finally made it inside, both of them stood in shocked silence. "This is impossible," Harin whispered, running her hands over an alien control panel. "The computing power in this single console is more advanced than anything we've ever built." Quan was studying what looked like a weapons system. "These energy cannons could destroy a mountain. How did we ever survive their attack?" Jinha had been wondering the same thing. The aliens had nearly wiped out humanity, but they could have done much worse. Maybe they had held back. Maybe they thought humans weren't worth the effort of a complete attack. Deep in the ship, they found the command center. Most of the displays were dead, but one screen was still flickering with alien text. Harin studied it carefully. "I can't read most of this," she said, "but these symbols keep repeating. I think they mean corrupted or contaminated." Jinha touched one of the alien controls. The screen changed, showing what looked like a status report. More symbols appeared, and Harin worked to translate them. "It says the ship is corrupted by primitive world touch," she read slowly. "And something about abandonment protocol activated." "They left it here on purpose?" Quan asked. Harin nodded. "I think they considered it contaminated just because it crashed on Earth. They couldn't bear to take it back." Jinha felt something burning in his chest. Anger. The aliens had tried to exterminate humanity like insects, and then they had abandoned this incredible ship because they thought Earth was too dirty for their technology. "Their loss," Jinha said quietly. "Our gain." He spent the next hour exploring every section of the ship he could reach. The damage was extensive, but not hopeless. The fusion reactors were offline, but intact. The computer systems were corrupted, but not destroyed. The weapons were damaged, but repairable. Most importantly, the ship was huge enough to carry hundreds of people. With work, it could be more than just a source of technology. It could be a way to leave Earth. "We can fix this," Jinha announced when they gathered back in the command center. Harin stared at him. "Fix it? Jinha, this is alien technology. We don't understand how any of it works." "Then we'll learn." Jinha's voice was steady and determined. "We'll study every system. We'll figure out how they built it, and then we'll make it better." "Better?" Quan asked. Jinha looked around the alien command center. In his mind, he could already see how it might look with human modifications. Stronger, tougher, more dangerous. "The aliens think they're superior to us," Jinha said. "They think we're primitive, but they made one mistake." "What's that?" Harin asked. Jinha smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of a man who had found his purpose. "They left us their ship. 18 months later, the crater looked like a giant construction site. Ropes and pulleys stretched down to the alien ship. Welding sparks lit up the darkness. The sound of hammers and power tools echoed day and night. Jinha stood on a platform they had built halfway down the crater wall. He watched dozens of people working on the ship below. What had started as a crazy idea was becoming reality. "The left fusion reactor is online," called Rex from inside the ship. Rex was only 19 years old, but he understood alien math better than anyone. The boy had a gift for seeing patterns that others missed. "Good work," Jinha replied into his radio. "What about the navigation systems?" "Still working on those," came Rex's voice. "The alien computers don't like our modifications." Jinha smiled. The alien computers weren't supposed to like human modifications. The original alien systems had been too perfect, too predictable. Rex was making them chaotic on purpose. "Jinha, we have a problem," said Quan, climbing up from the ship. His clothes were covered in grease and metal dust. "The power distribution system is fighting our upgrades. Show me." They climbed down to the ship's engine room. What they found there would have made any engineer quit his job. Human cables were spliced into alien conduits. Earth computers were wired into alien control systems. It looked like a nightmare of mixed technology. But it was working. The alien systems want everything to be smooth and efficient, Quan explained. Our systems are messy and random. They keep trying to reject each other. Harin appeared from behind a console, her hair tied, back and her hands dirty. She had been working on this problem for weeks. I think I found the solution, she said. The alien systems can't handle true randomness. They were designed by minds that think in patterns. But chaos is natural for humans. She led them to a new control panel she had built. It looked nothing like the smooth alien interfaces. Instead, it was covered with switches, dials, and blinking lights that seemed to have no pattern. This is a chaos controller, Harin explained. It takes random human inputs and translates them into something the alien systems can understand. But the randomness stays in the commands. Jinha studied the device. Will it work? It already is working. Harin flipped several switches in no particular order. Throughout the ship, systems that had been fighting each other suddenly synchronized. The alien computers don't know what to do with true chaos, so they just accept it. Over the following months, more survivors joined their project. Jake Morrison arrived from the American settlement in the ruins of Los Angeles. He was a marine engineer who had fought the aliens during the first invasion. His knowledge of military tactics was crucial. You're not just building a ship, Jake told Jinha during one of their planning sessions. You're building a weapon of war. It needs to be able to fight. Jake was right. The alien ship had been a military vessel originally, but the humans weren't just repairing it. They were making it into something new, where the aliens had used smooth curves. The humans welded angular armor plates. They stripped steel from destroyed tanks and warships, creating protective shells around vital systems. The ship began to look like a metal porcupine covered in spikes and sharp edges. The aliens build for beauty, Jinha explained to his team one evening. We build for survival. The weapon systems were the biggest challenge. The original alien energy cannons were incredibly powerful, but they had been damaged in the crash. Instead of trying to repair them exactly, the humans created hybrid weapons. Rex figured out how to connect human targeting computers to alien energy systems. The result was weapons that could think like humans but fire like aliens. The alien weapons were too precise, Rex explained. They aimed for perfect accuracy. But perfect accuracy is predictable. Our weapons aim for maximum damage, even if they're not perfectly accurate. Harin made the biggest breakthrough when she learned to weaponize quantum mechanics. The aliens had used quantum systems for computing, but Harin realized they could be used for destruction too. Reality is uncertain at the quantum level, she explained to Jinha. The aliens tried to eliminate that uncertainty, but we can use it as a weapon. Her quantum cannons existed in multiple states at once until the moment they fired. Enemy shields couldn't block them because the weapons weren't quite real until they hit their targets. The ship's hull became a patchwork of human and alien technology. Earth steel protected alien computers. Human radios connected to alien sensors. It should have been impossible, but somehow it worked. We're not trying to copy alien technology, Jinha told his crew. We're making it better. The work was dangerous. 3 people died when an alien power system overloaded. 5 more were injured when a human welding job caused an alien console to explode. But the survivors kept working. They worked through summer. Heat and winter cold. They worked when food was scarce and when alien patrol ships passed overhead. They worked because they knew this ship was humanity's only chance to fight back. What should we call it? Quan asked one day as they stood looking at their creation. The ship no longer looked like the elegant alien vessel they had found. It was bigger now, covered in weapons and armor. It looked angry. It looked dangerous. It looked human. Retribution, Jinha said without hesitation. The name felt right. This ship was humanity's answer to the aliens who had tried to destroy them. It was proof that humans could take the worst defeat and turn it into victory. As the ship neared completion, alien patrol ships began appearing more often. The aliens had noticed increased activity in the dead zones of Earth. They were getting suspicious. We need to finish this quickly, Jake warned during their final planning meeting. If they realize what we're building, they won't, Harin said confidently. Their sensors can't understand what they're seeing. To them, this just looks like wreckage. She was right. The hybrid human-alien technology confused alien sensors. The chaos systems Rex had built made their energy signature unpredictable. To alien instruments, the Retribution looked like nothing more than scattered debris. On the day of the first engine test, Jinha stood in the command center they had built. It looked nothing like the original alien bridge, human controls mixed with alien displays. Earth computers connected to alien navigation systems. All systems ready, reported Rex from the engineering station. Weapons online, added Jake from Tactical. Quantum systems stable, called Harin from her science station. Jinha looked around at his crew. These people had worked for 18 months to turn an alien derelict into humanity's weapon of revenge. They had done the impossible. Fire up. The engines, Jinha ordered. The ship came alive. Fusion reactors hummed with power. Alien technology merged with human determination. The Retribution was no longer just a broken alien ship. It was humanity's declaration of war against a galaxy that had forgotten their name. "Where to, Captain?" asked Rex with a grin. Jinha smiled back. For the first time in 3 years, he felt hope. Let's remind the aliens that humans don't stay dead. The asteroid belt stretched out before them like a field of floating rocks. Jinha stood on the bridge of the Retribution, watching the stars through the main screen. After 3 years trapped on Earth, seeing space again felt like breathing after being underwater. "Target acquired," reported Jake from his weapons station. "Alien mining facility bearing 27 Mark IV. Jinha could see it now, a massive structure built into a large asteroid. The facility was harvesting valuable metals from the rock, stripping resources that had once belonged to humanity's solar system. "How many aliens?" Jinha asked. "Sensors show approximately 50 workers," Harin replied from her science station, "plus automated defenses." The mining station looked peaceful from a distance. Just another alien operation in what they considered empty space. They had no idea that humanity had returned to claim what was theirs. "Rex, are the chaos systems ready?" Jinha asked. The young genius grinned from his navigation console. "More than ready, Captain. Their sensors won't know what hit them." Rex had spent months programming their approach. Instead of flying in a straight line like normal ships, the Retribution would move in patterns that seemed completely random. No alien computer could predict where they would be next. Jake, status. "On weapons? All hybrid cannons charged and ready," Jake reported. "Harin's quantum weapons are showing green across the board." Jinha took a deep breath. This was their first real test. For 18 months, they had worked on theories and simulations. Now they would find out if their impossible ship could actually fight. "All hands, prepare for combat," Jinha announced over the ship's communication system. "This is what we built the Retribution for. Let's show the galaxy that humanity is back." The attack began with Rex's navigation chaos. The Retribution suddenly accelerated in 3 different directions at once, using momentum systems that made alien physicists' brains hurt. One moment the ship was approaching from the left, the next it was diving from above. The mining station's automated defenses tried to track them, but their targeting computers couldn't handle the unpredictable movement. Warning alarms began blaring throughout the alien facility. "They're trying to send a distress signal," Harin reported. "Block it," Jinha ordered. Quan's communication systems jammed the alien transmissions with bursts of random noise. The mining station was now completely cut off from the outside universe. "Weapons range in 30 seconds, Jake announced. Through the main screen, Jinha could see the alien facility growing larger. Its surface was covered with mining equipment and defensive turrets. Under normal circumstances, those defenses could destroy any attacking ship. But the Retribution wasn't normal circumstances. Fire quantum cannons, Jin-Ha ordered. Ha-Ren's weapons did something that shouldn't have been possible. The energy beams existed in multiple states at once, phasing in and out of reality as they crossed space. The alien shields were designed to stop coherent energy patterns, but they couldn't block something that wasn't quite real. The quantum beams tore through the station's defenses like they weren't there. Explosions erupted across the asteroid's surface as defensive turrets simply ceased to exist. Conventional weapons. Target the mining equipment, Jin-Ha commanded. Jake's hybrid cannons opened fire. The weapons combined alien power with human, targeting systems, creating energy blasts that thought like humans but hit like alien technology. Instead of aiming for perfect accuracy, they aimed for maximum destruction. The mining facility's equipment began exploding in chains of secondary blasts. The aliens had built everything to work together efficiently. The humans used that efficiency against them, turning one explosion into 10. Hull breach detected in their main facility, Rex reported. Atmosphere is venting. Prepare boarding parties, Jin-Ha ordered. Jake had trained teams of human fighters for exactly this moment. They wore salvaged alien atmosphere suits and carried weapons that mixed Earth firearms with alien energy cells. They looked like warriors from humanity's nightmares. The boarding shuttles launched from the Retribution's modified cargo bays. Rex guided them through the debris field with the same chaotic navigation that had confused the station's defenses. Jin-Ha watched through combat cameras as Jake led the first boarding party into the alien facility. The corridors were filled with smoke and emergency lighting. Alien workers ran in panic, trying to reach escape pods. Secure the communication center, Jin-Ha ordered over the radio. We need their data files. Jake's team moved through the facility like a force of nature. The aliens had superior technology, but they weren't prepared for humans who fought with controlled fury. Every human fighter remembered the bombing of Earth. Every one of them had lost friends and family to alien weapons. Communication center. Secured, Jake reported 15 minutes later. Ha-Ren, we're downloading their data files now. I'm seeing incredible information, Ha-Ren said, studying the alien data as it flowed into the Retribution's computers. Mining schedules, shipping, routes, defense protocols, and something else. What? Jin-Ha asked. The location of their sector command base. Jin-Ha felt his heart speed up. The sector command base would be much more heavily defended than a simple mining station, but it would also contain the aliens responsible for coordinating attacks on human settlements. How long until we have everything? Jin-Ha asked. Another 10 minutes, Ha-Ren replied. Through the main screen, Jin-Ha watched Jake's teams finish securing the mining station. The entire operation had taken less than 20 minutes. A facility that should have been impregnable had fallen to humanity's first space battle in over 3 years. But the real victory came when they intercepted alien emergency transmissions. Ha-Ren, are you getting this? Jin-Ha asked. Ha-Ren's translation. Systems were working overtime to decode the alien communications. Her face went pale as she read the results. Jin-Ha, they have no idea what happened, she said in amazement. Listen to this transmission. She played the alien communication through the ship's speakers. Even though it was in an alien language, the panic in the voices was clear. My translation shows they're reporting impossible technologies and paradox weapons, Ha-Ren continued. They keep saying the attackers use systems that shouldn't exist. Jake's voice came over the radio from the mining station. Captain, you need to hear this. We captured one of their communication officers. He says they're calling us ghosts from the dead world. Jin-Ha smiled grimly. The aliens had tried to kill humanity, but instead they had created something they couldn't understand. Human determination mixed with alien technology had produced weapons that seemed impossible to alien minds. All teams return to the ship, Jin-Ha ordered. We're done here. As the boarding parties returned, Jin-Ha studied the data Ha-Ren had extracted. The alien sector command base was located in a heavily defended system 3 days away. It contained the regional fleet headquarters and the admiral who had ordered several attacks on human settlements. "Set course for the command base," Jinha ordered. "Sir," Rex said hesitantly, "that facility will have much stronger defenses. Warships, shield, generators, orbital platforms." Jinha looked around his bridge at the crew who had made this victory possible. Rex, barely out of his teens but capable of navigating impossible routes. Harin, who had turned quantum physics into a weapon. Jake, who led boarding parties with the fury of Earth's survivors. Quan, who kept their impossible ship running through pure determination. "Good," Jinha said. "We need a real challenge." The mining station fell silent behind them as the Retribution jumped to faster-than-light speed. The aliens would find their facility stripped of data and their workers talking about human ghosts who used weapons that bent reality. But that was just the beginning. Jinha had tasted victory, and it was sweeter than he had imagined. Humanity was no longer hiding in the ruins of Earth. They were hunting in the darkness of space, and their enemies were learning to fear the sound of human footsteps in alien corridors. The galaxy was about to remember why humans had once been considered dangerous. The alarm bells rang through the Retribution as Rex's sensors detected the incoming fleet. Jinha rushed to the bridge, still pulling on his captain's jacket. "Report," he ordered. 12 alien warships dropping out of faster-than-light travel," Rex announced, his young face tense with concentration. "Big ones, Captain, including a dreadnought." Through the main screen, Jinha could see the alien fleet forming into attack formation. Their ships were sleek and deadly, built for maximum efficiency. At the center was the largest vessel Jinha had ever seen, a command dreadnought that dwarfed even the Retribution. "They found us faster than expected," Harin said from her science station. "Someone really wants us dead." Jake studied the tactical display at his weapons console. "Captain, we're outnumbered 12-1. Their combined firepower could vaporize a small moon." Jinha felt sweat on his forehead, but his voice stayed calm. "Then we don't let them use that firepower. Rex, execute evasive pattern Chaos 7. The Retribution suddenly jerked in 3 different directions at once. The ship's hybrid navigation systems bent physics in ways that made alien computers crash. One moment they were diving toward a nearby planet, the next they were climbing toward empty space. The alien fleet opened fire, but their targeting systems couldn't track the chaotic movement. Energy beams meant to destroy the Retribution instead hit empty space or struck other alien ships by accident. "Enemy flagship is broadcasting on all frequencies," Quan reported from communications. "Let me hear it," Jinha said. An alien voice filled the bridge, speaking in the harsh language of the Kethmaran Empire. Harin's translation system worked to convert the words. "This is Supreme Admiral Vex Tharon of the Imperial Fleet," the translation announced. "You are the terrorist vessel responsible for attacking our mining facility. Surrender immediately or be destroyed." Jinha smiled coldly. Vex Tharon was the same admiral who had ordered the bombing of Earth 3 years ago. The same alien who had tried to exterminate humanity like insects. "Open a response channel," Jinha ordered. "Channel open, Captain," Quan replied. "Admiral, Vex Tharon," Jinha said, his voice carrying across space to the alien fleet. "This is Captain Jinha of the human vessel Retribution. You tried to murder my entire species. Now we're returning the favor." The response was immediate. All 12 alien ships opened fire at once, filling space with enough energy to glass a continent. "Brace for impact!" Jinha shouted. But Rex's chaos navigation saved them again. The Retribution wasn't where the aliens expected it to be. Instead of taking the full barrage, they slipped between the energy beams like a dancer avoiding raindrops. "Return fire all weapons," Jinha commanded. Harin's quantum cannons phased in and out of reality, bypassing alien shields to strike directly at their hulls. Jake's hybrid weapons aimed for maximum chaos instead of perfect accuracy, creating explosions that triggered chain reactions through enemy formations. But 12 against 1 was still terrible odds. "Hull breach on Deck 7, reported damage control. "Alien beam got through our armor." "Ceiling breach," Quan replied, his fingers flying over emergency controls. The battle turned into a deadly dance. The Retribution used its impossible maneuvers to avoid destruction while striking back with weapons that confused alien defense systems. But the enemy fleet was learning to adapt. "They're changing tactics," Jake warned. "Instead of trying to target us directly, they're filling entire areas of space with weapons fire." It was a smart strategy. If they couldn't predict where the Retribution would be, they would make everywhere equally deadly. "Rex, take us through their formation," Jinha ordered. "Sir?" Rex's voice cracked slightly. "You heard me. Plot a course directly through the center of their fleet." Rex's hands shook as he programmed the navigation systems. On the main screen, Jinha could see the alien ships repositioning to surround them. Flying into the middle of the enemy formation should have been suicide, but Jinha was counting on human unpredictability. The Retribution accelerated toward the alien fleet at maximum speed. The enemy ships held their formation, expecting the human vessel to veer off at the last moment. Instead, Rex guided them through a gap between two cruisers that was barely wide enough for their ship. The aliens couldn't fire without hitting their own vessels. For 30 seconds, the Retribution flew through the heart of the enemy fleet, while the aliens watched in confusion. "Now!" Jinha shouted. Harin and Jake fired everything they had. Quantum beams and hybrid cannons struck alien ships at point-blank range. 3 enemy vessels exploded instantly. 2 more suffered critical damage. But the victory came at a cost. "Engineering reports critical damage to the fusion reactors," Quan announced. "We're losing power." An alien energy beam had found its mark, punching through their armor to strike the ship's power systems. The Retribution's lights flickered as backup systems came online. "Jake! Damage report!" Jinha ordered. Jake's face was grim. "We've lost 40% of our weapons, hull breaches on 6 decks, and—" He paused, his voice heavy. "We lost contact with Engineering Team 3. Jinha closed his eyes briefly. Engineering Team 3 included 12 people who had worked on the ship since the beginning. Good people who had believed in humanity's fight for survival. "Captain," Rex said urgently, "the remaining alien ships are regrouping. They're coming around for another attack run." Through the main screen, Jinha could see 7 alien warships moving to surround them. The Retribution was wounded, bleeding, atmosphere, and energy. Their chaotic navigation was limited by the damaged power systems. "Options?" Jinha asked his crew. "We could try to escape to faster-than-light speed," Rex suggested. "But the navigation systems are unreliable with the power fluctuations." "We could make a stand here," Jake offered. "Take as many of them with us as possible." Harin looked up from her science console. "There is another option. It's dangerous, but it might work." "Talk to me," Jinha said. "I can overload the quantum weapon systems," Harin explained. "Create a massive reality distortion that will disable their sensors and navigation. But it will also damage our own systems badly." "How badly?" Jinha asked. "We might not survive it," Harin admitted. "But neither will they." Jinha looked around his bridge at the crew who had followed him into impossible odds. Rex, still just a teenager but brave enough to fly into enemy formations. Jake, whose tactical genius had kept them alive against superior numbers. Harin, whose scientific breakthroughs had given them weapons that seemed like magic. Quan, whose steady competence held their ship together through every crisis. "Do it," Jinha decided. "Sir," Jake protested, "there has to be another way." "There is no other way," Jinha replied. "We knew this mission might be one way when we started it. At least we'll take these murderers with us." Haren's hands moved over her controls, preparing the quantum overload. 30 seconds to detonation. All hands, brace for quantum shockwave. The alien fleet closed in, their weapons charging for the killing blow. Admiral Vex Tharen's flagship led the attack, its massive guns aimed directly at the Retribution's bridge. 10 seconds, Haren announced. "It's been an honor serving with you all," Jinha told his crew. 5 seconds. The quantum weapons overloaded in a burst of impossible energy. Reality itself seemed to scream as Haren's systems tore holes in space and time. The shock wave spread outward from the Retribution like a bubble of pure chaos. When it hit the alien fleet, their perfect systems couldn't handle the contradiction. Ships that relied on predictable physics found themselves in a universe where the laws of nature were suggestions. Navigation computers crashed, weapons systems shut down, life support failed. But the Retribution survived. Barely. "Status report," Jinha called out through the smoke filling the bridge. "All alien ships disabled or destroyed," Jake reported with amazement. "Admiral Vex Tharen's flagship is drifting powerless." "How? Are we still alive?" Rex asked. Haren smiled weakly from her damaged console. "Chaos is natural for humans. We can survive in conditions that would kill alien minds." Jinha looked at the tactical display showing 7 disabled alien warships, floating helplessly in space. They had done the impossible again. They had defeated a fleet 12 times their size, but the cost had been terrible. Half their crew was dead or injured. Their ship was barely holding together. And somewhere in the galaxy, more alien fleets would be coming. "Set course for the outer system," Jinha ordered. "We need repairs before we can continue the mission." As the battered Retribution limped toward empty space, Jinha realized something important. The aliens were no longer hunting humans for sport. Now they were hunting humans because they were afraid. The galaxy had learned a new lesson. Humans didn't just refuse to die quietly. They evolved beyond death itself. 6 months after their battle with Admiral Vex Tharen's fleet, the Retribution emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Kethmoran home system. Jinha stood on his repaired bridge, looking at the most heavily defended system in the galaxy. Kethmoran Prime hung in space like a jewel, surrounded by massive orbital defense platforms. Energy shields covered the entire planet in layers of protection. Hundreds of warships patrolled the system in perfect formations. "Sensor readings are off the charts," Rex reported from his navigation station. His left arm was still in a healing cast from their last battle, but his fingers moved quickly over the controls. "Those orbital platforms could destroy entire fleets." "Good thing we're not an entire fleet," Jinha replied calmly. Haren looked up from her science console, her face pale but determined. The quantum overload had left her with permanent nerve damage, but she had refused to leave the mission. "Jinha, those energy shields have never been broken. No weapon in the galaxy can penetrate them." "Then it's lucky we don't use weapons from this galaxy," Jinha said with a grim smile. Over the past 6 months, they had rebuilt the Retribution into something even more dangerous. Every battle had taught them new lessons. Every loss had made them stronger. The ship that now approached Kethmoran Prime was humanity's ultimate expression of controlled fury. "Quan, status on our special modifications?" Jinha asked. Quan grinned from his engineering station. "The Chaos bombs are ready, Captain. Haren's reality disruptors are fully charged, and Jake's surprise package is locked and loaded." Jake looked up from his tactical console. His scarred face showed the marks of their previous battles, but his eyes burned with determination. "Captain, I still think this plan is insane." "Of course it's insane," Jinha replied. "That's why it will work." The plan was simple in concept, but impossible in execution. They were going to destroy the most defended planet in the galaxy using weapons that shouldn't exist, tactics that made no sense, and a crew of humans who refused to accept that some things were impossible. Beginning approach. Rex announced. The Retribution accelerated toward the alien homeworld, but not in any pattern that made sense. Rex's navigation systems had evolved beyond chaos into something approaching pure madness. The ship existed in multiple locations at once, phased in and out of normal space, and followed flight paths that gave alien computers nervous breakdowns. The orbital defense platforms tried to target them, but their weapons kept firing at empty space. The Retribution was there, then it wasn't. Then it was somewhere else entirely. Incoming communication from the Planetary Defense Command, Quan reported. "Let me hear it," Jinha said. An alien voice filled the bridge, speaking in the refined accent of the Kethmoran ruling class. Harin's translation made the words clear. "Unknown vessel, you are approaching the sacred homeworld of the Kethmoran Empire. Identify yourself immediately or face annihilation." Jinha walked to the center of his bridge. Around him, his crew worked with quiet efficiency. These were the survivors of humanity's worst defeat, transformed into something the galaxy had never seen before. "Open a channel to the entire system," Jinha ordered. "Channel open, Captain," Quan replied. Jinha's voice carried across space to every alien ship, every defense platform, and every communication system in the Kethmoran home system. "This is Captain Jinha of the human vessel Retribution," he announced. 3 years ago, your empire tried to exterminate my species. You thought we were insects to be stepped on and forgotten. Today, we're here to collect payment for that mistake." The response was immediate and overwhelming. Every weapon in the system opened fire at once. Energy beams that could crack planets filled space with deadly light. Missiles that could destroy moons streaked toward the human ship. "Executing final approach," Rex announced with a wild grin. The Retribution didn't dodge the incoming fire. Instead, it did something that violated every law of physics the aliens understood. The ship became probability itself, existing in every possible location where it might be, while simultaneously being in none of them. The alien weapons struck. Thousands of phantom images while the real Retribution phased through their defenses like they weren't there. "Deploying chaos bombs," Harin announced. Her weapons didn't explode in the normal sense. Instead, they infected the alien defense network with pure randomness. Systems that had operated in perfect harmony for thousands of years suddenly forgot how to work together. Defense platforms fired on their own ships. Navigation computers gave contradictory orders. The perfect alien organization collapsed into beautiful chaos. "Planetary shields are fluctuating," Jake reported. "Harin's reality disruptors are working." The energy shields protecting Kethmoran Prime began to fail as Harin's quantum weapons convinced them that they didn't actually exist. Reality itself became uncertain around the alien homeworld. "Jake, deploy your surprise package," Jinha ordered. Jake smiled grimly and activated his secret weapon. For months, he had been working on something special. A modified human computer, virus designed to spread through alien networks. But this virus didn't just corrupt data, it taught alien computers how to think like humans. Within minutes, the Kethmoran defense systems were infected with human creativity, human chaos, and human refusal to follow rules. The most advanced military computers in the galaxy suddenly started making decisions based on intuition instead of logic. "Planetary defenses are turning on each other," Rex reported in amazement. "Their own weapons are attacking their command centers." Through the main screen, Jinha watched the most defended planet in the galaxy tear itself apart. Orbital. Platforms that had protected the Kethmoran homeworld for millennia were now firing on the cities below. "Take us down to the surface," Jinha ordered. "I want to have a conversation with their emperor." The Retribution descended through the chaos surrounding Kethmoran Prime. The ship's hybrid engines carried them past burning defense platforms and confused alien fleets. Nothing tried to stop them anymore. The entire system was too busy fighting itself. They landed in the plaza outside the Imperial Palace, a massive structure that had stood for 10,000 years as a symbol of alien supremacy. Jinha walked down the Retribution's boarding ramp, wearing simple human clothes and carrying a single alien weapon taken from their first battle. The palace guards tried to stop him, but Jake's boarding parties had already secured the building. Human fighters moved through the corridors with deadly efficiency, their hybrid weapons cutting through alien defenses like they were made of paper. Jinha found the Kethmaran Emperor in his throne room, surrounded by the dying technology that had once made his empire invincible. The alien ruler was tall and elegant, with silver skin and eyes like black diamonds. He had lived for centuries, ruling over a galaxy that bowed to his superiority. Now he cowered before a human engineer from a dead world. "You are Jinha," the Emperor said in perfect human language, "the terrorist who has destroyed our order." Jinha walked slowly across the vast throne room. His footsteps echoed in the silence, broken only by distant explosions as the alien capital burned. "I'm not a terrorist," Jinha replied calmly. "I'm a reminder." "A reminder of what?" Jinha stopped in front of the alien throne. "A reminder that some species don't stay dead when you try to kill them. A reminder that evolution doesn't end with extinction. A reminder that humans don't just survive impossible odds. We turn them into weapons." The Emperor's black eyes showed something Jinha had never seen in an alien before: fear. "What do you want?" the Emperor asked. "I want you to remember this moment," Jinha said. "I want you to remember that humanity was broken, abandoned, and left to die. And from that death, we forged something your empire could never create." "Which is?" Jinha smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Absolute retribution." He activated his communication device. Throughout the galaxy, on every alien world and every starship, the same message began broadcasting. "This is humanity," Jinha's voice echoed across space. "We were the species you tried to exterminate. We were the primitives you thought were beneath notice. We were the insects you stepped on and forgot." The transmission showed images of the burning Kethmoran homeworld, of defense systems destroying themselves, of the most advanced civilization in the galaxy brought to its knees by human determination. "But we didn't die quietly," Jinha continued. "We evolved. We adapted. We took your abandoned technology and made it into something you can't understand. We turned your own weapons against you. We became the chaos that your ordered minds can't comprehend." The Emperor watched in horror as his perfect empire crumbled around him. "Remember our name," Jinha concluded. "Remember what happens when you underestimate humanity. Remember that some species don't just refuse to die. They choose to live so loudly that the galaxy can never forget them." Jinha walked back toward his ship, leaving the Emperor alone in his collapsing throne room. The Retribution lifted off from the burning planet, carrying its crew of human survivors back into space. They had started as scavengers in the ruins of Sol. They had become legends that would echo through the galaxy for 1,000 years. The universe had learned what it truly meant to be human, to take the worst possible circumstances and transform them into absolute victory.